Hey, what's up, YouTube? Obviously, it's just me this week. Just got back from Philadelphia and New York. Dane had prior arrangements, so you're just getting me this week. But, we'll make it through. I got my power rankings, weekly news, game previews, game reviews, fantasy football. I did talk to Dane, so we got his inputs as well. All that and more. But first, let's run it. YouTube Nation, what is up? My name is Justin, one half of Tailgate Talks podcast. My co-host Dane's not here. He had a prior arrangement, and I just got back from Philadelphia and New York doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Went to my first Broadway play. That was pretty cool. Watched Harry Potter, The Cursed Child. I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan, but man, I found myself not wanting that play to end. It was really good, and I might see more Broadway plays basically because of that. So it was really, really cool. Great acting, great story. It was a lot of laughs, a lot of heart. It was really cool. Went to Philadelphia to watch the Eagles-Lions game. Froze my ass off. Now, first, let me tell you, the people were so welcoming. It was such a cool event. The tailgating was amazing. So many people. Man, let me first say that the wind, the cold, holy shit. Now, it wasn't really, from a temperature-wise, wasn't really, in still air. It was not that cold. It was like, 30s or something. But like, man, the wind, it was like knives going through you, and it was so freaking windy. I remember texting on my group chat and being like, hey guys, because they always do fantasy. And I'm like, if you guys got receivers in this game or quarterbacks or whatever, like maybe think about benching them because it is fucking windy. Now, I do not have a quarterback arm whatsoever, but me and my son were playing catch in the parking lot. And we stopped because I would throw it or he would throw it, and man, the wind would just take the ball like so far to the left or to the right. Like we were hitting cars and everything else, hitting people. It was like, oh my God, you could not throw the fucking ball. So I was like, okay. It was cold. It was so freaking cold. But and I found myself conflicted in the game. We'll get into that as we get into the game reviews, but it was a lot of fun. Definitely gonna have to go back. It was a lot of fun. And matter of fact, another thing is I'm famous. I was actually on TV. So I don't even remember exactly what the segment was about or anything. I think it was like two Olympians or something. I don't know. The girl had a metal leg. That's all I know. But so they just said, hey, who wants to be on TV? And my dumbass just raised my hand. I don't know why or what. Like, I don't want to be on TV. There's a lot of things I want to do. Being on TV is not necessarily one of them, especially on Sunday night with millions of people watching. But yeah, they kind of just threw me in, and there's me and my son on TV. It was kind of cool. And during the halftime. So there I was making an ass out of myself. But, it's all, you can see I'm bundled up and everything else. I had my jersey on underneath, everything else. I had to have my jacket, which it was still an Eagles jacket. It had like a blacked out Eagles logo on it, much like my hat. But I couldn't even like open up the jacket to show off. It was so cold, guys. But yeah, had a lot of fun. All right, so let's get to the pick standings like we do each and every episode. By the way, this is episode 10. I don't know if I said that yet. Probably haven't. Episode 10, the big 1-0, and Dane's not with me. What the hell? We're previewing week 12 of the NFL regular season and reviewing week 11. So the pick standings are as such. I am flirting with 500 right now. I am 15-12. So I am, what does that make me? Like 2 games over 500. And Dane is 13-14. So I got a 2-game lead on Dane. So basically I should just like pick whatever he picks, and I'll just, no, I'm not going to do that. That would be kind of cheesy. So, all right, so let's get into the game reviews. Packers beat the Giants. This is normally when I would say, okay, Dane, it's all you, bro. You go ahead. You rant, whatever. Do what you want to do. I did ask him, like, hey, is there any kind of, notable points that you want me to bring up? And really, it's just a lot of same old that it was the last couple weeks. It's just uninspiring football. look, the Packers don't have like this number one receiver, but they have a bunch of number twos. They have a really good defense. I know the corners are a little sus, but they got good safety, good linebackers, strong defensive pass rush. Like they have a really good defense and they have good offense. I know Brandon Jacobs with, we'll find out. I'm recording this on a Thursday. We still don't know his status for next week or for this coming week with that injury. Sounds like it's a little bit serious, but we'll find out more. So prayers to him. Don't want nobody to get hurt. Hope he stays healthy. That would be a big loss because Brandon Jacobs is he's not this Jahmyr Gibbs or what Saquon was last year or anything like that. He's not like this explosive, jittery, athletic type of running back. He's this strong, powered, leg churning running back who will fall down and pick up an extra 2 yards, which are killer 2 yards with it. It doesn't sound like much, but stuff like that, it really matters. So that'll be a big loss. Look, at the end of the day, they beat the Giants. They went in there and it's not college football. Nobody, trust me as an Eagles fan, I know this better than anybody right now. Nobody sit there and looks at the end of the year, oh, how pretty was this win? How pretty was this loss? It's not college football. It's get the win, get the dub, move on. And they did that. Now, I couldn't really watch it at the time. I'm sitting there driving around Philadelphia, going to different bars and stuff like that and getting ready to go to the Eagles-Lions game later. But I was keeping keep an eye on the scores. And man, I was nervous. I think it was 13-13 or something like that at one point. I can't remember. But I was like, oh, Dane, oh my God, bro. I was feeling for him. Because as an Eagles fan, I know all about playing down to your opponents. So the good thing is I do think the Packers play up to their opponents too. So, who would have thought that the Bears right now would be leading the division? That's crazy. They haven't played the Eagles yet. Okay, so the Rams beat the Seahawks. This was the best game, I think, of the week. It's crazy because the Seahawks threw four interceptions, and they were still lining up for a field goal to win the game. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy that you can have 4 turnovers and still have a chance to win the game at the end. The Rams won. They did not look great offensively. I think they had less than 300 yards total offense. And it's very weird. Nothing gets said, right? As an Eagles fan, nothing gets said. We'll get into that. Trust me. But the Seahawks do have a really, really, really good defense. It's kind of one of those things where you want to know more after watching this game. Who's better, Rams or Seahawks? You really want to know. And I come away from that game still not really knowing. Again, 4 interceptions, and they still had a chance to win at the end. It was a game where if they meet again, I still don't know who's going to win. I'm still not super confident. I'll have a pick, of course, but I'm not going to know yeah, for sure. It was a good game. This brings us to the Eagles and Lions. Now, I was there in attendance, and let me tell you, it was fucking cold. I don't think people, and I've rewatched the game a couple times because, I wasn't there to watch the broadcast. So sometimes I want to watch the broadcast too. I don't think you truly understood how cold and windy it was. It was extremely cold and windy that day. I don't have an NFL arm, but me and my son were passing in the parking lot, and man, we could not pass accurately at all. So, I came away conflicted. Came away very, very conflicted because on one hand, the Eagles offense shit the bed yet again. Just same old freaking story. The Eagles offense lead the NFL in 3-and-out percentage. They go 3-and-out 30.8% of the time. 30.8% of the time they go 3-and-out. That's 1 in every 3 drives. For what it's worth, the Colts go 3-and-out the least. It's the same predictability. It's the same just half-hearted route running. It's just no creativity. It's a mess. We're all bitching in the stands. We're so tired of it. I'm going to get in I'm going to tie one of the weekly news segments into this game because they just go hand in hand when it comes to talking about this offense in this game. So the reports of frustration inside the Eagles locker room, inside the Eagles coaching staff, when it comes to the quarterback, Jalen Hurts, that he plays the game a certain way and they've been trying to get him out of it and practicing and doing something a certain way, teaching it a certain way. And then come game time, he goes back to just playing his game. The source was not, identified. And whenever you have that, and I understand that you can't always tell your source because then you're just going to lose access. I get that. But I know who Derek Gunn is, and he's not going to say something unless he's absolutely sure. So on one hand, I do believe someone in the organization said something to him. I believe that. On the other hand, I look at the offense. You realize the Lions play the most man coverage in the league, or at least they're up there. And the Eagles didn't run man-beating routes at all. There was no slants or digs or any kind of runaway routes or anything like that. They were running hitches. As a matter of fact, the Eagles run the most hitches in the league. And when I say that, I mean that by a lot. So if we're going by players and what percentage of, hitches they run per route run, Dallas Goedert is second. He's run the second most hitch routes in the NFL. Devontae Smith, the Eagles wide receiver, runs the third most hitch routes in the NFL. See where I'm going with this? A.J. Brown runs the 16th most hitch routes in the NFL. This covers receivers, tight ends, running backs, anybody who runs a route. The Eagles have 3 players in the top 16. No team has even 2 players in the top 16. The Eagles have 3. It's a problem. And for people that don't know what a hitch route is, it's almost like a stop route. Like you go out a little bit, you turn around, and catch the ball. People want to sit there and say, throw to A.J. Brown. It's not a 50-50 ball. It's an 80-20 ball. No, it's a 50-50 ball because he'll run a stupid hitch route. He's got a freaking corner right there in his hip pocket. It's stupid. When I watch these freaking, so when the Lions run the most, man coverage, there's no runaway routes for people to get open and to use their speed and everything else like that. You are playing into the defense's hands, for fuck's sake. When the Lions did run zone, they ran like a cover 3. For people that don't understand football, or even if you don't play Madden, cover 3 is a run-stopping defense. It's to stop the run. It's not necessarily to stop the pass. If you're passing against a cover 3, it's one of the most easiest coverages to pass into. And the Eagles still don't help themselves. By the way, you might hear some trucks. I'm actually in the garage. I know you can't see this because there's a green screen, hint, hint. But I'm actually in the garage, so you might hear some trucks every now and then. But anyway, I don't know. People want to sit there and attack Jalen Hurts. And by the way, Jalen Hurts has been playing bad. It's a little bit of Jalen Hurts. It's a little bit of a lack of effort, mostly by A.J. Brown. If you watch his routes, it's just a lack of effort. And it's a little bit of the offensive line, not blocking like they used to, not opening up that run. But it's a lot of the scheme and offense. And for people to think that's how Jalen Hurts needs it. Not in totality, because there's been many quotes from Jalen Hurts himself saying we need to stop playing afraid to lose, or we need to stop playing this or this, blah, blah, blah. Whenever he had a good game last year and everything, he had a quote saying they finally took the straitjacket off me. Hurts is not happy with this offense either. And the way we're going about our business. So again, I don't want to completely, say, Hurts has nothing to do with this and everything else. You're the quarterback. You're going to have a lot to do with it. And he's not been playing well. But when I look at the tape, instead of just making a lazy ass comment like so many people do, there's so much more there. What the fuck are we doing? So I came around, and that's actually how, people sit there and say I flip-flop with Hurts. Let me get down to that right now. This podcast was started by us debating in the offseason whether Jalen Hurts was a top 10 quarterback or not. I said yes. Dane said no. He even put Jaden Daniels in the top 10 ahead of Hurts, and that drove me crazy because it was a rookie year. It was one freaking year. Have we not seen CJ Stroud? 1 year. RG3, 1 year. We always have this crap. Look at, and again, it's more health related than anything else, but I'm going to bring it up. Look at Jaden Daniels this year. At some point, like you need more than one freaking year. So I was irritated. I'm like, this guy's been to 2 Super Bowls, was MVP in 1, lost the other one, but was the best player on the field in that freaking game. And you're going to put a rookie over him? Like, what the fuck? That's what started this podcast. It started the debate, which led to us like, hey, the debate was fun. Let's start a podcast and debate stuff. That's what started this. So from a resume standpoint, all right, 5 years in the NFL. Didn't really start that first year. So that's kind of like, as Carson Wentz, Hurts kind of came in at the end of the year and got some wins and everything else and blah, blah, blah. But don't really count this one because he didn't really start. So 4 years, playoffs, Super Bowl loss. He was a second place in the MVP voting and was the best player on the field in that Super Bowl. But Super Bowl loss. Started 10-1, had a top 10 offense. It was a defense that absolutely fucking sucked, but went to the playoffs again, but lost in the first round. And then went to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl, was Super Bowl MVP. So he's been in the playoffs all 4 years, 2 times the Super Bowl. 1 time he was the best player on the field, and the other Super Bowl, he wasn't the best player on the field, but was a Super Bowl MVP. Yeah. From a resume standpoint, yes, top 10. Yes. From me, just take a step out of this season. Top 10. Yes. Earlier in the podcast show, like week 3, week 4, week 5, I said he's not playing like a top 10 quarterback. Then I said he is playing like a top 10 quarterback. That's not me flip-flopping. That's getting more information. Do power rankings not go up and down? Do we not switch depending on, Yes. So like week 9, week 8, week 9, maybe week 10, I don't even know, week 9. I said he's probably top 10 quarterback. He just had a 158.3 passer rating game. Then he had 140 yard passing or 140 blah, blah, blah rating with 4 touchdown passes and blah, blah, blah. He's had, at the time, 15 touchdown passes, 1 interception. The record is what the record is and this and that. Like, yeah, he's top 10. Now, if you ask me right now, I probably have him outside my top 10, yes, because there's been 2 really, really bad games. That's not me flip-flopping. That's me, it's the same thing we do for power rankings. So, and this is just this season, by the way. I'm saying right now, no, he's not a top 10 quarterback this season. So hopefully that makes sense. It shouldn't be too hard for most people to comprehend, but who knows? Anyway, enough with that. So I was conflicted watching the game. Offense, same bullshit. And when I went back and watched the tape, it was just as I thought. Same bullshit. Predictability, hitch route heaven, no man beaters. It just, good God, the freaking, do these guys know football? Do they know football? I can play Madden and come up with a better game plan to beat the defense than these guys. And I'm a nobody. So it baffles my mind that these people are getting paid millions. Yes, even coaches get paid millions. Getting paid millions. To do what? It baffles my mind. So I'm looking at the film. I'm like, where do you want Jalen Hurts to go with the ball? Where do you want him to go with the ball? Anyway, so that's that. We'll get to the weekly news. Tyrod Taylor to start a quarterback for the Jets going forward. Thank God. Look, Justin Fields. I mean, me and Dane covered it a couple episodes ago, but I mean, this needs to be the end of him being a starter. He's not great. And then I would start thinking that the receivers for the Jets would actually start maybe getting involved more since Tyrod Taylor can actually pass the ball. So if you have a Jets receiver, I'm not going to say start them this week per se, but because I don't think Tyrod Taylor is going to come in and just completely just own everybody and just, go nuclear or anything like that. I'm not expecting that. But, maybe these Jets receivers start getting more play. That's all I'm saying. Joe Burrow to play Sunday. Joe Burrow maybe will play this Sunday. The Bengals are 3 games behind the Steelers. They already beat them once. If they beat the Steelers this week, now you're 2 games back. You have the tiebreakers because you beat them twice. You start making a run at this thing. You might, I still don't think they're going to do anything because that defense is still hot garbage. But from a Bengals perspective, you're like, you know what? We're not too far out of this. Let's try to make a run at this thing. The thing is, what do we do in this game for the Steelers? I think if Joe Burrow can play, he should play. If they lose this game, and that's whether Joe Burrow is ready or not. Here's the thing. It's going to be really weird to start Joe Burrow for this game because it's such an important game. The Steelers are the team that you're chasing. They're the ones that you got to make up ground on. So beating them is huge because they lose, you win. There's a game. But if you lose to the Steelers, re-benching Burrow to get healthy looks weird. So it's kind of, they got to make a decision. Do we play Burrow or we don't? If they don't play Burrow for this game and they lose this game, I don't think he should come back because you're done. You're done. You're like, now you're 4 games behind with 5 to go or 6 to go. It makes no sense. So it's really weird how they handle this week. It's really weird. Because I think if you start Joe Burrow this week, you got to start him the rest of the way. It looks weird to start him this week, and if you don't win, then you re-bench him, to get healthy and blah, blah, blah. That just looks weird. So I feel like you either start him or you don't start him, and it's this week, personally, for me. It's pretty cool. It's a cool thing to think about and how they're going to handle it because, just the the strategy involved in it. So I'm kind of curious how the Bengals are going to handle that. Let's get into some power rankings.
It's time for Power Rankings. There are many like it, but this one is ours.
All right, so I'm going to give you my top 10, and then I'm going to give you a little bonus, 11 through 15, just so fans or whatever can see who's just outside my top 10. But we're going to do top 10 first. I'm going to go 15 to 11. So these are going to be the ones that didn't quite make my list. At 15, I have the Chargers. At 14, I have the Jaguars. At 13, I have the 49ers. 12, the Steelers. And just missing out at 11, I have the Bears. So those are the 5 teams that just missed my power rankings. All right. At number 10, I have Dane's Green Bay Packers. I still look at all the talent on that team. They just play with their food too damn much. They're very uninspiring. That offense should be so much better than what it is. It's a little hit or miss, but I do think they're one of the top 10 teams in the NFL. At number 9, I have the Bucs. They were absolutely on fire earlier on in the year. Then injuries to Godwin and Mike Evans and everything like that just kind of halted them a little bit. I still think they're a very dangerous team. I still think that they could, I think they're playing the Rams this week. They could absolutely win that game. They're a very dangerous out and to be taken seriously. So I got Bucs at 9. At 8, I got the Buffalo Bills, and really I should just call it the Buffalo Josh Allens because it's really just Josh Allen and James Cook on that offense. The defense is still hit or miss and more often than times miss. But with Josh, that's how much respect and that's how much I like Josh Allen is that I got the Bills at 8 because it's real that when you look at the team and how they're playing, just overall, they're not a very scary out. They're really not. But Josh Allen's enough to make anybody worried. So 7, I got the team that the Eagles just beat in the Detroit Lions. That offensive line's not quite what it was. Dan Campbell leaves way too many points on the board. That aggressiveness, that's the thing, man. It comes in waves. At some point, you look like a genius, and then it, the law of averages, it spins the other way, and then you look like a total douchebag. Like he left at least 6 points on the board in Philadelphia, at least. I know they lost by 7, but still. At 6, I got the Denver Broncos. It seems like not many people want to take the Broncos seriously. Look, they're 9-2. One of their wins was against my Eagles. Now, I think there were some calls at the end, and we're not going to get into it. The fact is, they know how to win. They absolutely know how to win, and they finished strong in the fourth quarter. They're a very, very, very strong fourth quarter team. That defense is no joke, and this is without Patrick Surtain. So just imagine when Patrick Surtain comes back. So the Denver Broncos, some people even think it's a slight to put them at 6, but that's where I got them, is at 6. At 5, I got the Indianapolis Colts. Again, tied for one of the best records in the league. Got a very, very good offense. One of the best offenses in the league. They go 3 and out the least amount of times in the league. They got a great offensive play caller, and Shane Steichen. Indianapolis Colts at 5. At 4, I got the Seattle Seahawks. That defense is no joke. When you can throw 4 interceptions by your quarterback and still have a chance to win at the end, that's good defensive play. Let's just be honest. Their pass rush is no joke. I'm really high on the Seahawks right now. At 3, I got the Patriots. Look, it's time to realize that this is not the Buffalo Bills division right now. It is the Patriots again. Feels like I'm going back to 2005 now, talking about the Colts and Patriots. But Patriots are just a really, really good team. Drake May's doing amazing. People are saying he's got the most yards. Well, he hasn't had a bye week yet, so he probably will have the most yards. But regardless of that, he's just playing really, really good. I think he's leading in passer rating, I believe, and he's just playing out of his mind. So Drake May doing really good. Patriots at 3. At 2, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. I know people are wondering, like, where are you going to put your Eagles, Justin? I have them at 2, and then I have the Rams at 1. Thought real hard about putting the Eagles at 1 because Eagles fans themselves are going to sit there and say, Justin, we beat the Rams. We beat them. Like, we should be ahead of them. I get that. The Rams weren't quite playing offense as good then as they are now. People say we needed 2 blocked field goals to beat them. Look, a win's a win. The Eagles are 8-2. They beat the Rams, the Bucs, the Packers, the Lions, the Chiefs at the Chiefs. Like, it's not luck anymore, guys. Like, stop it. But the Rams are playing better now than they were then. Although you could sit there and say the Eagles defense is playing better now than they were then. So, I got to do my due diligence. I got to be fair. Rams look like the best team right now. So I'll have the Rams at 1. So that's my power rankings. Many like it. This one's mine. Let me tell you where you guys differ in the comments. I'd like to know. All right. So now it's time for some fantasy football.
It's time for fantasy football with Dane and Justin. Get ready to dominate your league.
Dominate your league. And it's just with Justin. No Dane's here. But I actually take that back. I did message Dane. I'm like, hey, who's your overachiever, your underachiever? Who's your stardom? Who's your sit-em of the week? So I do have Dane's responses on this. So I'm not going to be able to give you much reasoning behind it because they're his choices, not mine. So I'll start with mine as far as overachiever. I'm going to have to put George Pickens. He had 144 yards and 1 touchdown. It's not really just that. A lot of receivers have like 140, 150 yards and a touchdown, like whatever. It's just his target per route run. 41%. I think CeeDee Lamb and Pickens or whatever, like were benched for the first series or whatever like that as punishment. I think that's stupid, by the way. Why bench players for a series? You're hurting your team. You're punishing your quarterback. Did he do anything wrong? Like, it's stupid. It makes no fucking sense, but whatever. He Dak Prescott actually targets George Pickens more than he targets CeeDee Lamb lately. So I got George Pickens. For Dane's overachiever, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this as the Carolina receiver. It is Tetriona McMillan. He went 8 receptions for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns with the Carolina Panthers. So good job to him. Underachiever, I have Justin Herbert. 81 yards passing and an interception against the Jaguars. Oh my God. Now notice, sorry, I have to make it about me sometimes. Notice it's radio silence when it comes to Justin Herbert. Oh my God. Is he a problem? He only threw 81 yards. No. Had Hurts thrown for 81 yards. Look, I mean, I'm just saying, the Eagles, they had 200 and some yards of total offense against the Lions in a fucking windstorm, but the Rams have 200 and some yards and win and nothing. It's just hypocrisy. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, 81 yards. He's my underachiever. Dane went Jamar Chase. 3 receptions for 30 yards, no touchdowns is his underachiever. He probably really felt that because he has him in fantasy. So as far as stardom, I'm going to say start Stephon Diggs against the Bengals defense. I think Stephon Diggs is probably an underrated. He's probably like your wide receiver. Depends on how many people you have in your league, but probably like your wide receiver 3 or something. Maybe wide receiver 4. I would start him against the Bengals defense. And then Dane had to start Zay Flowers. Or no. Yeah, Zay Flowers versus the Jets defense. I don't know. I think the second receiver has been doing good against the Jets defense. I'm not sure about the first receiver, but start Zay Flowers and start Stephon Diggs. As far as sit-em, I have sit. This is going to be the homer take of the year. Sit CeeDee Lamb against Quinyon Mitchell. I'm assuming they're going to have now that this could backfire on me heavily. If I was the Eagles, because some people might think that they're going to put Quinyon Mitchell on George Pickens and then just do like some sort of double coverage or something like that, bracket coverage against CeeDee Lamb. I think it should be the other way. I know George Pickens has been beast for Dak Prescott. I still look at CeeDee Lamb as the more dangerous receiver. I just can't get it out of my head. I would put Quinyon on CD and bracket coverage Pickens. That's what I would do. They might do it the other way, in which case CD will eat. Whoever's not on Mitchell is going to eat, is basically what I'm saying. I'm going to sit there and, I'm going to call my shot and say sit CeeDee Lamb. And then Dane has sit Breece Hall versus the Ravens defense. Ravens defense, the running defense has been a lot better as of late. I know they were complete ass at the beginning of the year, but they have been getting it together and doing pretty well against running backs as of late. So sit Breece Hall. And plus Tyrod Taylor coming in, I can see them wanting to just pass it all over the lot and just kind of, change it up a little bit. And that was fantasy. So let's get to the game previews. See, I'm flying through this. So we got Packers at the Vikings. The over-under, I freaking forget. I think it's 6.5. I think it's 6.5 in Green Bay's favor. I'm going to go ahead and I got the Packers winning but not covering. And actually, Dane has the same thing. Packers win but not covering. So we think it's going to be a closer game. I could totally see it. I think the Packers have more to fight for, more to play for right now than do the Vikings. Look, we've seen the Packers play with their food. The Vikings could absolutely win this. Would I be shocked to see the Vikings win? No, would not be shocked. Especially with the Josh Jacobs injury and everything like that. But I just have a feeling the Packers are going to pull it out. I'm going to say something like 24-20 something like that. Packers win by 4, so the Vikings cover. But we both have the Packers winning, but Vikings covering. Eagles at Cowboys. Eagles are up to 3.5 favorites now. I think they started at 2.5. So I'm going to have the Eagles winning and covering. And Dane actually agrees with me again. Eagles winning and covering. This is what happens in the media. The Cowboys beat the 2-7 Las Vegas Raiders. 2-7 Raiders they beat. And all of a sudden, oh, look at the Cowboys. They have a chance to make the playoffs and they can beat the Eagles. Oh, they can do it. It's all it took. It's all it took was for the Cowboys to beat a 2-7 Raiders team. That's all it fucking took. Look, they did get some players back on defense. So there's reason for optimism. I'm not saying that. And I've always said, I think pretty consistently throughout this podcast is the Cowboys have the talent on offense to absolutely beat anyone. Beat anyone. They also can absolutely lose to anyone. And I've been pretty consistent at saying that. So can the Cowboys beat the Eagles? Yes. Can the Cowboys blow out the Eagles? Yes. And you can say the same thing the other way around. It just depends on which teams absolutely show up. I love when people bring up the Dak Prescott stat. Like, well, at home, Dak Prescott is like 27-2 or 20-2 against NFC East teams. Like the 2017 Giants or whoever were the same as like the 2021 Giants or what, you know what I mean? Like teams are, it's a stupid stat. It's a stupid stat. Now you can look at it and be like, oh wow. But like, it's stupid. There's no correlation to these teams. Like maybe in a 2-year span, maybe, because there's not a shit ton of turnover in 1 year. But like, you know what I mean? But like going all the way back to like when he came in 2000, like it's stupid. It's dumb. Like that doesn't mean anything. So I don't know. Yes, Dak Prescott has been very successful at home against division opponents. I just think the stat is dumb. It doesn't, like, what does the 2021 Commanders have to do with, or were they the football team back then? I can't remember. But what does that have to do with this year's Eagles? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't, whatever. I think the Eagles get their ground game going a little bit in this game. I'm going to sit there and call my shot. I think the Eagles ground game gets going. I think the Eagles struggles have a lot to do with coaching and everything else like that. I'm just waiting for a freaking brain cell to kick in, to turn on, and for the Eagles to call a better game and to game plan a better game. I'm just waiting for it. And hopefully this noise kind of helps with that. And there's a lot of noise. I mean, Kevin Patullo is not a very, very popular man, at least not positively popular. I'm just hoping that they get their act in gear. I'm hoping that the running game of the Eagles takes off a little bit. And if that running game gets going, that sets up everything. I do think the defense will play well. Do I think they're going to hold the Cowboys to single digits like they did the Packers and the Lions? Absolutely not. I can see the Cowboys, scoring 17, 20 points. But if they score 17, 20 points and the Eagles running game gets going, the Eagles can score more than 20 points. So that running game needs to get going. They need to stop all the false starts and everything else. And maybe a little bit of the Eagles playing bad on offense was due to the weather. It was really freaking cold in Green Bay and it was really cold and windy this last game against the Lions. So maybe going to a controlled environment, on turf or whatever, like maybe it's better. Maybe it's like, okay, finally a game where conditions aren't an issue. I don't know. But I got the Eagles winning. And if the Eagles win, we're done. Cowboys, we're done. Done. Because then it's a magic, I think it's the magic number is 2 now. where 2 Eagles wins or 2 Cowboys losses or an Eagles win and a Cowboys loss, like that ends the division. You know, it's like you'd be like 5 or 6 back at this point. Like it's basically over. If the Cowboys win, oh my God. Like it wouldn't just be that the Eagles lost. It wouldn't just be that. It would be I'd have to hear all like, oh my God, Cowboys. Because it's like they just want the Cowboys to be relevant so fucking badly. And that's why a lot of us hate the Cowboys. If we're not a Cowboys fan, we hate the Cowboys. Because you just stuff it in our face so damn much. We're just over it. The Cowboys are a dangerous team. They can beat anybody. They could lose to anybody. Makes it a really hard game to call. But I think the Eagles running game will get going and they'll win. Something like, now will they cover? Yes, the Eagles will cover. I got them winning something like 27, 22. 27-22 Eagles. All right. And then the last game is Bucs at Rams. Man, what a good game. I think this is 3.5 as well. Whatever it is, I'll make sure that I have the thing on the bottom. I got, man, this is so hard. I'm going to have the Rams winning this one. I want the Bucs to win just for standings and everything else. So the Eagles are alone record-wise in the division or in the conference. So I want the Bucs to win. I think the Rams will win. Just too much firepower. Matthew Stafford, I know he didn't have the absolute best game last week, but he's been playing so well. He's definitely my MVP this year. I see the Rams winning both in like the 20s. So it'll be like 27, 24. You know what? I don't know what you guys will know because I'll put the spread underneath. So whatever it says down below, but I'm going to say the Rams win, but the Bucs cover. I'm going to say the Bucs cover. Dane says the Rams win and cover. So there's that. All right, guys, that wraps up episode 10 of the Tailgate Talkers podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe. Any kind of engagement we can get, huge. Tell other people that you know like football about this podcast. Helps us a lot. And with that, see you next time.